married men, the fact that I'm married does not mean I can no longer see beauty. No, I see a lot of it. But I have to remember that, by the way, that ring and so on. I think honest. We need to be honest as married men that were tempted by some of you. It's a fact. Because beauty has just bloomed in this society. In the church as well. Many beautiful girls, even in this campus. I've seen the number of them in this house. I'm being honest. I'm speaking as a human being. And seeing beauty does not mean I'm attracted to you. You get the point? Yeah. Fine. Was there a hand that I missed? Yes.
Okay, I just want to read this passage and I'll say what I want to ask. Okay, Ephesians 5, verse 21 to 25. Submitting yourself one to another in fear of God. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So, okay, we're saying, okay, I don't really know how to phrase this, but we're saying, okay, woman, you're powerful, you're strong. When you said that a woman has to go and ask her husband to go say something for her for it to be valid, I think that's what you were saying or something like that. Is it wrong, like that dynamic, and how do you define submitting to your husband? And are we fighting against that when we are fighting for women's rights or something?
Okay. Yes.
I want to add on to her question because that's actually something that I've been battling. There was a guy friend of mine who actually, he posted something on his status, and I don't know if the pastor who was speaking was Adventist, but then it's in relation to that verse as well. And then he says that there is nowhere in the Bible that says men need love. Men need respect. This is what the guy is saying. There is no way. It says that women submit to your husbands, and therefore that is it. I don't know if you get where I'm getting to it. How true is that? Because I believe that Christianity and the Bible is based, the greatest commandment that we were given was love, right? And when you hear then these things, like, especially coming from a man of God, what can we say about such? So just to add on to her question.
I think when you apply that verse, I think of the story of Hosea and Gobel as a depiction of how a man should love his wife. Because that wife was a prostitute, he married her as a prostitute. And then when he had many kids with her, he still went back to the brothers, had to go back and buy her sacks of wheat and all those things, and beg her to come back home. So there was that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I think in application, when Paul speaks of how we ought to love, how men ought to love their wives, as Christ loved the church, the best depiction of how Christ loved the church in a context of a marriage, I think it's that Hosea and Gomer relationship. Because Gomer, the landlord's wife, is the church in how it always ran away from God. So I think that is the best application. The question there about men don't need love and they need respect, all those things there, I'm not too sure if I completely agree. Because what I found when God gives a command, He gives a command to something that is not natural, or something that does not come easy to us. So when God says, men love your wife, I think it was a sort of an indication of how difficult men would find it to actually love their wives. And also, when He gives a command that women respect their husband, I think it was an indication of how difficult it would be for a woman to respect her husband. Because now, when you are religious or you are a Christian, there are so many things that will convince you to do otherwise. But at least have the word of God as your last straw. But okay, I don't agree with it. It goes against my feelings. It goes against my natural instinct of self-preservation. It goes against many things naturally. But then because God said I must, then I'm going to do it. You get it? So it becomes then an obedience thing more than an intellectually agreeing with it. That conceptually, I understand that I must respect. Conceptually, I understand that I must love. But I think it's a command because there is a lack of love, naturally, between men, from men toward women, and there's a lack of respect from women towards men. So God then has to give us a command. In the same way, we find that the Ten Commandments, I don't think it was ever God's intention to write the Ten Commandments from Eden perspective. But now He's dealing with slaves. So because these people have been enslaved for so many years in Egypt, and they've lost touch with the principles of the heavenly kingdom, now God has to command them that now you must not commit adultery, now you must not steal, you must not do this, don't do this, do that. So whenever you find God speaking in that language, I've found that there's always been some hindrance to us naturally being inclined to a godly way of living. That God now is trying to redirect us toward His ideal. Not to say that it is a complete, because you find that the Ten Commandments are not exhaustive of how we ought to love each other. So that's why then Christ comes and completes it. And there actually is a law of love, etc., etc. So whenever you find a command, I think it's God trying to redirect our direction to a particular path that we've gone astray from.
Just to where we are currently, amongst many things that have been said, is to try to understand this balance of submitting and also of loving, because this has been also associated to what a woman is and what a woman is not. If you do not respect or love if you do not respect your husband, it is seen as if you are not a woman, while or vice versa. So that is where we are currently. Let me start with Lucas, so then you please.
Okay, to go to what Julie was saying, there's a verse in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33. Nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband.
You talk about the distinction between a man loving and a woman respecting. Pastor Dr. Park, Dr. Park, who has been a marriage counselor alongside with his wife for many years. When he talked about this verse, he says that in his experience with couples that have problems, it either stems from the fact that the wife does not feel loved, or the man does not feel like he's being respected. So I think that's how I was helped in understanding that distinction between love and respect.
Sure. I have two questions. The first one is one question that you asked: what does it mean to submit? Because I want to know what submitting to your husband means. And secondly, I also have a problem with what she said about, how our culture raises us to be. Growing up, I used to think a woman is the weaker version of humanity because I'm supposed to be weaker than my brothers. My mother is supposed to be weaker than my father. So now growing up, you're supposed to look forward to marriage, right? So that also brings a problem where us women amongst each other, we become competitors. And we start competing to find a husband. And we start hating each other instead of building each other up. And also, you also find yourself in a situation where you don't want to reach your full potential because you're afraid that you won't be weak enough for the man you're supposed to find. I want to achieve a lot of things in my life because I'm ambitious like that. But I'm afraid that when I reach a level so high, everyone will see me as no, actually, like she's not weak enough. You know, how do we, as women, how do we balance strength and also, yeah.
I think we need a new curriculum in the church. Remember, as it was said, the Bible is the result of an accident. God had never wanted to write a book. It took him 2,500 years to produce a book. Because of the increase of sin, so many rules that will come to among Israel. If you were to follow all the rules among Israel, it would be difficult to the church. I'm telling you. Go to Deuteronomy, go to Leviticus, go to, what's this other book? Exodus, and all those things. You'd find it difficult to reproduce that system. I think we've been conquered by modernization, by colonization. Modernization equaled education of the male and the female. We're all sent to school at the same time and we're subjected to the same curriculum. Therefore, on what basis do you become my superior? On the basis of sexual organs. Do you hear me? On the basis of gender. That's why we have gender trouble now in the world. Because modernization also says you can run as fast as you are able to run. So I run as fast as a PhD, and I'm Musisi Ndlovu. When I run as fast as standard 6, and you're Joshua Kabini. You meet me in the street, you want to propose love to me, I am ready to be proposed by a man. But when I tell you my qualifications, you run away. Why? You know what? Why do you run away? Because you are pursuing superiority, not manhood.
Yes.
There's a problem. You're not pursuing manhood. You are pursuing superiority. Manhood means I must be superior. Look here, we are individuals. There are things that I can't do that my wife does. In my family, I'm regarded as wasteful. My wife is a strict budget. I never learned how to budget. I learned how to use. Does that mean I'm less of a man? You get the point? I'm not. They know that on Friday I'm the one who buys the food. Because I clean all the niceties to make the weekend look good. That's what it says. That in summer people must eat what they did not eat in the week. You get the point? But you can't try to make the Sabbath special. So I'm the one who's expected to buy food on Friday. And when I'm away, I send them food on Monday and Thursday so that they can start thinking about the niceties they want to eat. So I don't think some of the questions that arise because of a righteous model. We are dealing with the consequences of sin in our lives. What do you do when people move from one place to another? What do you tell a Zimbabwean who comes from a despotic government? What do you tell a South African in the Bible who comes from an apartheid government, which used the Bible to control us? You get the point? All these things get so mixed up. Ultimately, I think what the church will be teaching is the truth global, and then say you have a right to be a human being to the extent to which God allows you to be, without hurting other human beings. And move away from strictly centering life around gender issues, because we are no longer a patriarchal society. Secondly, we are no longer a unilateral society. The Greeks here, the Hebrews here, the English here. The church has become very multicultural and multiracial. So we have to, it's not going to be an easy thing to get answers to all some of these questions. But we need to understand that the Bible is the result of a project, of a problem.
To try and answer the question of how a woman is supposed to submit, I'm following the logic that was presented that in order to fix must first fix the man, or we must fix them together. We cannot fix the one without fixing the other. Okay. So I'm gonna try and maybe paint a picture of what it is for a man to do. Does that make sense? Okay, let's say hypothetically. Disclaimer. Yeah, no more say. You are married, you have children. Now we're trying to decide where are those children going to go to school. Nobody says no. Let's send them to Vichy because of A, B, and C. And then I say no. Let's send them to Kingswood because of A, B, and C. The picture that is originally painted in our heads is that Nobota is going to listen to what I said because I said it. But now, and please inform me, step in if I'm talking rubbish. But my understanding of what is said in Ephesians is that since I am following the example of how Christ loved the church, I am the priest in the home. And in the priest in the home, it's not me that has the final word, but it's God that has the final word. So what happens is I say, okay, we cannot agree on where to send our children. Let's both get on our knees and listen to what God has to say. I do not get the last word, but my responsibility is to make sure God gets the last word.
How many men are taught to as the last word? To have God as the how many men are taught?
You are running out of time.
Okay. I'm just looking at the development of the discussions and conversations that we're having. And the topic there, embracing true womanhood. And I see how, I don't know how many of us in here are married, but we seem to be trying to define a woman by a wife. What does it mean to submit? I don't know how many of us have had to go through the stress or maybe feel the love of submitting and whatever. Then it comes and shows the bigger problem. So when a girl child is born, even in the family, the way they are viewed, and the kind of environment they're subjected to is, you are growing up, you're going to be a wife. Like she said, that as you enter into the society, you think that by virtue of being born, you are made to be a wife. As a result, you don't want to reach your full potential because you don't want to exceed what you have perceived men could attain. As a result, you then have to gauge your achievements to the man, because just in case, then I don't have a husband. But now, why are we busy husbanding and wifing here? Because I'm looking at it saying embracing true womanhood. I think we need a school of girls because we don't find boys when they talk to each other, how are you trying to be a good husband? They don't talk about that. They try to be men. That's what they do. And Tina, we are trying to define a woman and we bring in a man. This conversation has been about how men have suppressed us and all of those things. Maybe we should start talking about trying to identify who we are as women. Because before we get married, we start being girls. And we are women before marriage. But now we want to know what it means to submit. I'm not even there yet. Why am I trying to figure that out? Because what I need to know now is, how do I live as a human being who is female? Because before, I am a human being and I'm identified and I have an identity. And now, men, when they come into our lives, they then see this, they play Superman because they're saving you. Because you have not gotten a sense of satisfaction. And I think if we can start moving and saying, let us be satisfied with being women, and let who you are and what you were born to be define what true womanhood is. Because it's so complex and it's so big that we can't even contain it in one space. And we can't limit it to one thing. And therefore, we leave it so that we can see it. Because when you are being who you are and what you're born to be, you're not threatened by trying to fit into somebody else's life.
Because if that person comes up, they come up. And if they don't meet your standards, they feel that they don't meet up to your standards, good. You are fine. Because you're happy with where you are. And now we will start moving away even from this thing of feeling that if we're talking about submission, marriage, and all of that thing, oh, they try to oppress us. No. You were happy. You were happily single. Therefore, you're going to be happily married. So it's a case of being happy where you are and identifying yourself and being good with who you are. But then now, it's evolved. We've seen a lot of things. We don't have a school of girls anymore. Mainly, like a lot of cultures don't have that anymore. So now, it's hard for us to understand what it means to be a girl child and what it means to be a woman who is not married, because you're not told what to do, because you don't need to be. Leave. You don't need to be told what to do. You don't need to be told. You'll be told what to do. And I see when people get married, they get those speeches. This is what you need to do now. That's good, because I've never been there. But I've always lived. I've always had a brain. I've always had a heart. So why should I be limited to this is what I need to do? Because society has now allowed us, like Kufundis has said, it has allowed us to be subjected to the same education system. But what happens in classrooms is that you'll find the girl child being good in mathematics, but they don't want to be expressive of it, just in case they go wrong. And then the boys say, it wasn't yours. But you see the boys saying, I got it wrong. Say, it's in there, it starts there. They're happy to get it wrong. They're happy to get it wrong. Tina, even at work, you get to work, and then when you are there, you're trying to see if I can do what a man can do. But you could do more. And then when you are there, you say, these men are trying to oppress us. They think we can't do what they can do. We don't need to do what they can do. We can do something else. Like when you identify yourself, why are we looking for identity within another identity?
Sure.
That's where it starts getting lost.
Thank you very much. Because of time, I'll just allow this one hand to have the final comments and a question. Then after, I'll make the closing remarks, and then Pastor will follow also with his own closing remarks.
Well, she basically said everything that I think I would have wanted to say. But I don't think we live in an ideal society like that yet. That is beautiful, that you can exist alone as a woman. But as for now, I believe our identity is unfortunately tied to men. That is the reality of things. We do not have to accept it, but we have to know that it is there, you know? And that's why we're having this, so that we can work towards fighting it. So that is.
As a way that we are structured as a
actually, like what she highlighted, I think we were just beating about the bush. We're not actually trying to define what values do we look for in a woman, and what defines a woman. I think it's part of womanhood. And if you look at the definition of womanhood, it's talking about maturity. It's talking about how do you nurture someone to become someone who is a complete woman, someone that you refer to as the Proverbs 31 woman. Not to say that the characteristics that are in Proverbs 31, they're highlighting that maybe it's a woman who is being oppressed or suppressed. But now the first thing is, how do we define within our spheres, what values do we expect to see in women who also model a society? So I was trying to read on Daughters of God, Ellen White, chapter 7. It's describing that the duty of a woman, like what Judy was saying, the duty of a woman, it's even more than the duty that men have. And some of the characters were being highlighted that women can actually do more because they have an being. I think it's part of being womanhood. So now, how do we use that womanhood to further the gospel? How do we use that womanhood to build the society? The defined woman that we had before is a woman in church, for example, what the pastor was saying, the issue of a woman who is a deaconess and the issue of a woman, like these responsibilities that we have in church. I think we lost the debate when we started talking about leadership within the church. So now, in Judaism, we should have a culture where everyone is given an equal platform to say something. And when everyone goes to the pulpit or the podium, they should speak their mind and speak what they actually live. Because most people just go to the front and then they say something, but they're not living it. But how do we define that woman that we think that maybe this is the model? I do not use model because it may not be even God's ideal model of a woman. But from our perspective as people who are here on earth, how do we define how a woman should be, a matured woman should be or behave like? I think when we start talking about those issues, I think now we're now trying to embrace true womanhood. That's what I think.
The process of learning continues. This seminar is not enough. We are to continue learning much more about this one. It is a rough process for many of us because we need to engage with unlearning, relearning, and learning again. So, but one thing that I can say is that a society that is very stagnant dies eventually.
Yes.
But because we are a church of God, it means that we are also a moving transport. Let us allow that movement to take place. Let us allow ourselves to continually learn more about what the understanding that God has for us, more than that what we have managed to view for ourselves, and then we try to find Bible verses to endorse what we are thinking. Because one thing that has happened over the years is that because this verse looks like it will fit what I want to do, let me use this verse so now we need to re-engage with the Bible. Hence it is very important for us to always and continually read our Bible. Thank you very much to my panelists. Thanks very much to the audience. Over to you again, Pastor. And thank you very much for giving me this time.
Thank you very much. What really has impressed me was the fact that you took to the proposal I made yesterday, seriously. And I feel humbled. And some of the youth in my own church who should have been here to learn new things. I think we're facing two major challenges. We're facing history. We're trying to apply the Old Testament in the New Testament context. That's one of the challenges. We're trying to patriarchal in a multicultural, multinational civilization, where conflicting ideas develop around what it means to live together. And we need to settle this one, not finally, as we move into multi-gender issues, which are already facing us. We're still discussing men and women. We now must discuss men and other things, women and other things. There are 6 genders now. Get the point? The devil is busy complicating the gender so that we never arrive at perfection. Yeah, there are 6 genders. I was reading National Geographic last year, and I could not finish the article because it just made me mad. I was shocked to discover that the genders are so many now. And I wonder when God said us, who's going to be saved, who's going to be lost? Was those who appear in the 2 genders are just as evil as the rest. We got another problem. Yeah, but we're also facing a society that defines women on the basis of their sexual organs. If you don't have it, you're not a woman. And so is the case with men. That's why men are struggling to satisfy women as well. There are also inner agendas where they silence, but they speech in the silence. You get the point? How can I be really a real man finally is one who can make a woman really rich? You get the point? There are so many definitions of what it means to be a man, and also many definitions of what it means to be a woman. So what I think should start happening is for us to create a curriculum that is progressive. developmental. Let's keep engaging with history as it unfolds. Thank you very much. I've also been impressed by these two ladies. God bless you. I want to spend a minute with you as the others do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pastor. I will ask also Swampa Nangana Ganevagim as the begin to close in a word of prayer for us.
Could I make a suggestion? I would like all of us who, starting with my friend, who recorded everything. I had to buy this cell phone yesterday because my big orders there was a problem. We need to publish what happened here. Honestly, it will be the beginning of a new movement in the church. People here was bothering youth in the church. Thank you very much.